Hello and welcome to Plan B, a podcast about all the latest news and updates related to citizenship by investment by CS Global Partners, a London-headquartered legal government advisory and marketing firm. My name is Aisha Mohammed and I'm your host. In our last episode, we spoke with James McKay from McKay Research, who gave us great insight into the CBI Index, a comprehensive ranking system that evaluates active citizenship by investment programs. You can catch up on that episode and others by subscribing to Plan B on Spotify or iTunes. You can also find an episode breakdown on our website at www.csglobalpartners.com under the resources section. On today's show, we'll be talking about St Kitts and Nevis's limited time offer on its Sustainable Growth Fund option, which was introduced in early July. But first, some CBI highlights and updates from this week. Prime Minister Timothy Harris of St Kitts and Nevis took part in a webinar hosted by Khaleej Times to speak about the country's quick and efficient response to the COVID-19 crisis and its relation to investor immigration. On July 16th, Ukraine and Grenada entered into an agreement to abolish visa requirements. Tourists from Ukraine will receive the right to enter Grenada for a period of 90 days within 180 days without visas. Grenada has said that the agreement will go into effect 30 days following notification of the parties' completion of internal procedures necessary to implement the agreement. Barbados is looking to introduce the Barbados Welcome Stamp visa, which will allow individuals to stay in Barbados for a year to work remotely. This Welcome Stamp is a visa that people will need to apply for. And those are this week's CBI updates. On today's show, we welcome back Beatrice Gatti, the head of government advisory practice at CS Global Partners. Beatrice will walk us through the details of the temporarily reduced Sustainable Growth Fund offer by St Kitts and Nevis. Welcome back to Plan B, Beatrice. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Aisha. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. The EU recently released a list of around 60 countries that folks don't need to quarantine from when coming back to the UK. Are you planning to travel anywhere?
I'm Italian, so I'm hoping to go back home and see my family. And of course, both St. Kitts and Nevis and Dominica are on that list. So I'm crossing my fingers that I can make it to the Caribbean sometime soon.
Great. So let's get started. Why do you think that the government of St Kitts and Nevis has decided to make this offer available now, and that also for such a short period of time?
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has made it clear that the offer is linked to the COVID-19 crisis and that the LTO is therefore intended to be temporary. Ultimately, I think the LTO has two main goals. First, it's meant to incentivize greater volumes of investment to support the country throughout the pandemic. And second, I think it's meant to provide access to families who feel now is the time to secure their future in a safe jurisdiction, such as St. Kitts and Nevis.
What exactly is the limited time offer?
So it's important to note that the LTO refers to the Sustainable Growth Fund option only. The Sustainable Growth Fund, commonly known as the SGF, is probably the most popular route to citizenship in St. Kitts and Nevis. And normally, under the SGF, the main applicant is asked to contribute $150,000. A spouse then requires an extra $25,000, while any other qualifying dependent requires a $10,000 contribution per dependent. Now, with this LTO, there is a cap of $150,000 for a family of up to 4 people. This means that for your sort of typical family that is made up of a husband, wife, and 2 children, the result is a $45,000 discount, because normally you'd go 150 plus 25 plus 10 plus 10, that's 195, minus the 150, it's 45,000.
Does the January 15th, 2021 deadline refer to the applicant receiving citizenship or to when the application must be submitted?
It refers to submission, which means that as long as the applicant has all the documents he or she needs to provide by the 15th and gets it all submitted, then even though it might take up to 3 months, the sort of standard average time it takes to obtain an approval in principle, that does not have an impact on how much the applicant needs to pay.
So it's been about 4 weeks since the limited time offer went live. What has the response to it been like so far?
So I would say that 4 weeks is a little bit too soon to have official government data on this. However, the St Kitts and Nevis unit is certainly expecting a strong response. Quite recently, Mr. Lescan, who heads the unit, noted that the unit has enough staff in place to deal with the increase in interest that is expected.
Now that St Kitts and Nevis has discounted their SGF price, can we expect other CBI jurisdictions to do the same? Or do you expect prices to rise considering an increase of interest in second citizenship due to the pandemic?
So St. Kitts and Nevis is not a jurisdiction that changes its price lightly, and the decision seems to have been driven by other nations making similar moves. In Antigua and Barbuda, for example, a price reduction was announced for post-citizenship additions. St. Lucia also serves as another example, as the country introduced a COVID-19 government bonds option under the program.
Can you tell us what this reduction to the SGF means for investors and their ability to apply?
Within the reduction in the LTO means that some families that were on the fence about applying may now have that extra incentive that they need to all apply together. At the same time, I think it's worth noting that all other requirements remain in place, and in particular, passing the stringent due diligence processes that are the hallmark of the St. Kitts and Nevis program, and certainly one of the things that make it the platinum standard of the industry.
Those are all our questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, Bea. We appreciate all of your insights. This concludes our episode. If you have any topics or questions you'd like for us to discuss on Plan B, let us know and we'll be happy to have an expert address your concerns. Next Wednesday, we'll be back with more insightful guests who'll be looking more at how families can look to various citizenship by investment programs in order to ensure no one is left behind. Until then, if you have any concerns about CBI or would like to find out more, please visit www.csglobalpartners.com. Thank you for listening and stay safe. Audio Jungle.